Hey everybody, welcome back to Trinity Dairy. Don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, check out our merch store. We'll have a link in the description for that. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Today is July 11th, 2023. We're getting pretty dry here again, but they're forecasting some rain maybe tonight and tomorrow. It's actually supposed to be raining right now, but so far hasn't let anything go yet. But we got a little project here we're working on, so I'll show you what that's all about. Well, here's what we're working on. We got the 489 New Holland Haybine up here. This has kind of been a little bit of a project in the making here. What happened when we went to cut the third field of hay this summer, the gearbox for the sickle, the wobble box or whatever you want to call it, I'm assuming what happened is that this vent may be plugged and it blew this seal out and dumped all the oil out, and this locked up. It's stuck tight. I don't know, this seal always has been a little damp with oil for a long time, but it was always, we filled it up when we started and it would always be good through the year. So it was just something that maybe it finally just let go or whatever. But anyway, so I was going to get a rebuilt gearbox, and they want $4,500 for a rebuilt gearbox, so I was not going to do that. Anyway, I found a whole parts machine with the gearbox, seems to be good in it. No leaks, nothing. It was full of oil and everything turns. I got that in here. I don't know if I can turn it now because it's sitting on the bed of the skid steer, but everything moves on there. I got the whole machine for 500 bucks. So to me, that was the way to go. So now, like I said, we got the one out of the parts machine. We got the one out of here. I didn't video all of that because you can't really see much. It's kind of awkward to get in and out of there. But what we wound up basically doing on the parts machine, I didn't take quite as much stuff apart just because I'd never done this before, so I wasn't really sure. So when I took the one out of here, I took a little bit more stuff off. So anyway, the shaft that runs the top roller, we popped that off and unhooked that. We did that on both machines. And the roller chain that goes around, and that's another thing. I was talking to a mechanic of ours. He said actually what's really common is that little roller chain is driven off the back of that gearbox. That chain can get, when it gets worn, can break and actually wrap around the shaft on the gearbox and snap the shaft off. That's the first thing I checked, but that wasn't the case here, but I am putting a new chain on there. But anyway, so we pulled this shaft off, and then there's a, down in the bottom, there's a like a skid plate under there. I did pull that off of here. I didn't do it on the parts one, but doing it on here, I would recommend doing that because I was able to put the floor jack under it to help us kind of to get it lifted up so we could come out the back with it instead of trying to do it by hand, because it's awkward and it's kind of heavy and all that. I also pulled the belt for the reel drive and stuff off, but that wasn't really anything to do with the gearbox. That was because I want to replace the belt and service the pulleys up there. So yeah, it was pretty simple. There's two bolts in the bottom that go in from this side. There's nuts welded in on the other side where the reel is. I also pulled the tensioner out for the chain to get that out of the way. And then inside of here, there's a rubber flap, and then there's two bigger holes down here. One of them is for the bolt for the tensioner, and then the other lower one is for a bolt for the gearbox, and then there's another hole over there for a gearbox bolt. And there's a little plate that covers these with like three little like 5/16 screws in it. So it was pretty simple. Like I said, other than it's kind of heavy and awkward, but it wasn't bad to do otherwise. Not very complicated anyway. But from now on, I have to say I will be checking this little vent every year, just because I have a feeling that that's plugged, because it looks like that tiny little hole there is your vent, and that doesn't take much to plug. So I kind of have a feeling that's possibly what happened. So you live and learn, I guess, and we're going to keep checking that one. But anyway, so we're going to try to get that in there now. I got a new chain made up for it. because I didn't want to put this old one back in because it is pretty worn. I don't know how well the footage I'm going to getting this back in here, because it is kind of, you're kind of blocking all the openings trying to get it in here, but we'll see what happens. I should also mention too, I kind of forgot, there's another shaft down there that actually drives the gearbox. There's 4 bolts that bolts that to right here. And then on the one we pulled out of the parts machine, I took these counterweights off to get it out, but when we used the jack to get this one out, I didn't need to take them off. It was got us up high enough. So that's kind of, they're not hard, it's just bolts that go all the way through them, but that was just kind of 2 different ways we did it. There we go. It's on the jack now. So we can set that jack down a little bit. Get it where you want it. Okay. You might want to just, will it sit there somewhere? I hate to have this jump and take your fingers off.
I'm just going to try to balance it on the top. Alright, hold on. Let's see. Maybe right there.
Okay, I think that one actually started. Well, we should have a pivot point now anyway.
Yeah. We gotta put the chain on before the other top one?
Yeah, I suppose we'll have to, if we can still flex it back now.
Oh, hold on, it's not all the way on there.
Okay, I want to get some more slack there. Okay. Oops.
Did it actually reach?
Not quite, but I think it's because we're not in place yet. But if I got a piece of wire or something that I can tie them together, or a zip tie.
Just a bunch of that scrap barrel.
Okay. All right, now should be able to move it over. And then I suppose this bolt, this was the one that went down in here.
Yeah.
I suppose that we can put that in next. Before we tighten it all the way down though, so we can get that last one lined up.
Yeah.
Look like it's all pulling up flush.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'll get them. I'll just snug them up for now, and then I'll go through and tighten them a little better after. Okay, you go play. Well, there it is. It's all bolted in there. I got to go through now, hook up the drive shaft to it. I got the chain, new chain on there hooked up. I got to put this back, put the weights on the back end and hook all that up. A couple little covers to put on. And then I'm also going to, this is the belt tensioner for the V-belt for the reel. And this bushing was getting worn out, so it was pulling crooked and the pulley was wearing on the bracket. And the other parts machine, that piece looks all good and tight, so I'm going to swap that over. That's why I had to cover off of this belt here. And I will say, I've changed this belt once and I did not pull this cover off. I would highly recommend pulling that cover off to change the belt, because I think it was like 4 bolts and the cover came off and it made it way simpler. But anyway, it's starting to rain now, so hopefully that keeps up. So we're gonna get everything put away here now, and we'll see. I probably won't work on this anymore tonight, but if it's not raining tomorrow, I'll come out here and button this up and see if it gets going. So we'll check back when the rain stops. Well, we're back down here in front of the garage. Got the Haybine down here. I think I got it all back together. We got that gearbox switched over. I swapped over a couple other things from that other machine that were in better shape than what was on here, so we got that done too. It's worked out pretty well. I did this little vent on here. I would recommend anybody that has one to pull that little vent out and make sure it's working, because there's a little check ball in there with a spring, and there was, you could tell condensation had been in there and kind of rusty. So I kind of have a feeling that might be what happened, is that just rusted up and built up pressure in there and popped that seal out. But anyway, we're gonna fire it up now, run it, make sure everything's working, and then I'm gonna take it out. The rest of the hay I've got to make just some older first crop. That's quite a ways from home, so I got some second crop here. It's a little bit thin, but figured I'd make a couple rounds out there just to try it before I head away from home and make sure everything's working, and I can check, make sure the bolts and everything are tight. So I'll fire up the tractor and see if it goes. Sounds pretty good. We'll take it out and try it. All right, we're out here in the second crop now. You can see this stuff is pretty short. I think it's actually shrinking some. We've been just so dry here. Stuff was looking pretty nice, but it's kind of going backwards now. But I'm just gonna make a couple rounds around here, see what it looks like. Maybe I'll just let the cows come out here and chew on this. But try it out anyway and see what happens. Well, we made it home. Seemed like it was cutting good. None of that hay out there was real heavy. There was a spot along the road. That was pretty nice stuff down in the dip there. A lot of orchard grass in there, and it seemed to cut through that good. So I'll go through and just check my bolts, check that little roller chain and everything. One thing I did notice though, one of these reel bats occasionally will flip, and you could probably hear that in the video is kind of making a banging sound once in a while as the reel would go around. I think that is these. There's plastic bushings in here. I think it might even be this one. I think that's giving it enough play. When it gets to a certain spot in the track, it'll flip. But I do have some other ones of those bushings, so I might swap them out, and that should fix that. And I'll maybe make another round and try it out. So that's what we'll do next. All right, we're back out here in the field. I got a couple of new bushings in that one reel bar that was flipping back on me. So we'll see if that fixes the problem. Well, there we have it. Made 2 rounds, not much there. I think, like I said, I'll rake these 2 up and bale them once it's dry, just to get them off of here. But I think I'm gonna put the fence up around here and let the cows in here. I'd flail chop it, but a lot of this is so short, and that flail chopper, I gotta run it so close to the ground to pick a lot of that up. I wind up getting more dirt and stuff in it, so the cows can come through and pick what they want, and maybe take the sickle mower or something and clip off the rest when they're done. And this is mostly fence. I got a couple of fences I gotta replace, but most of it's got wire around it anyway, so won't be too hard to do. But the Haybine made that round just perfect, didn't miss a beat. Didn't jump out of that bar, didn't jump out of time or anything, so hopefully that's good to go. So anyway, I think I'm gonna call it a night now. I gotta go give the cows some silage yet before I let them out, but so anyway, not probably a real long video, but hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next one.